Welcome, guys, to Midnight Metal on Sophia's Emporium. Bet you can't guess what this show's going to be about. We're after midnight, so today is June 28th. Are you kidding me? All right, so let me get to this. Let me just hit you quick so you'll stay. What if I have a $98 million story for you guys tonight? It's all true. And oddly enough, let me share a screen real quick. All right, let's zip on up here. So here we have a dear woman by the name of Andrea Reed, and she shares a link to the group Truth, Honor, and Integrity, home of Thomas Williams. And of course, you know I love Tommy and the work they do at Truth, Honor, and Integrity. So I had to take a look at this, right? And this is Clinton Foundation took massive payoffs, promised Hammond Ranch and other publicly owned lands to the Russians, along with 1/5 of our uranium ore. And you say, Suze, what's this have to do with anything? What's this have to do with heavy metal? And what in the hell does this have to do with you? Well, let me tell you about it, okay? So, as y'all may have heard, the paternal side of my family definitely was integral in trying to stop the takeover that happened when we became incorporated instead of the United States of America. But no big deal. Let's not worry about that tonight. Let's talk about my maternal side of the family, right? So my grandfather, Addison Vernon Mitchell, was the managing editor of the Custer Combattier, which was a division of the Stars and Stripes paper that came back from the war. He was in Italy. So, of course, I have his war journal, which is an incredible story. And in there, I get to know him because, of course, he was never spoken about by my mother or my grandmother. And I'm sure that they warned her years ago to never, ever speak of this man, or my mom would suffer and the family. So that includes me. But this is no time for worrying about how we're going to suffer since we're already suffering. So maybe this will help our process along. Anyhow, my grandpa wrote hundreds of letters back home to my grandmother. And, he passed along secrets when he could. I mean, this was his wife, and he was concerned about how she would make it as a single parent and her having enough money to survive. She ran a boarding house down in the city on Waterman Avenue at this time. So, here we go. My grandpa, of course, knew which stocks and bonds that my grandmother should purchase. And of course, he would detail it out and tell her why best he could, and she did it. And I loved my gram, and we shared a room together, when I grew up at my parents' house. And she was a functional alcoholic, so every day she went to work in a bank, working for the original Edward Jones or Ted Jones, or the original dude. And she worked in a bank vault that he rented, Mercantile Bank on Olive. And her main fascination, I mean, even with a 12-pack in her, was reading the flippin' paper with the stocks and the bonds, and her money that was somewhere along the way. Now, after my father passed and Joe rescued all the papers that came out of my family home, well, I found out a lot of things, obviously, because these were all unknown to me. Now, I did know, like I said, my gram was into the stock market, and my mom also uh, uninvolved me from anything that was going on, which was fine, and I understood why, because she definitely was fighting for the other side, and that's okay. But here I've got some legal documents, and so, I can prove what I say. I have always done that when I do my research, and these documents will be uploaded online for the whole world to see. But I got to get to the story so you guys can tie two and two together and know who to hit on the head. And I'm going to have to read you the Hillary thing first, but real quick, just so you see, I come bearing legal documents. We have this little one here, and this story we're going to be reading about is about uranium and about big money, $98 million a share. So we're not talking about chump change. And what we're also talking about is how, and we know this now, that our own land here in America, or wherever you think we live, was actually stolen from us, whoever us is, and given to someone else who, here again, has no true stake to claim the land, right? And this has been what wars have been fought over forever, and how the money system works and the whole deal. So, believe it or not, we're looking at these papers, and this is about 6 months ago. And Joe, who really does excellent research, he talks to his phone. And you know me, I don't even talk on the phone, right? But anyhow, he tells his phone what he wants, and poof, it brings it up. So what we wanted to do was research actually who owns or is in charge of Vista Petroleum Company. And that's what this story is all about. So, before I hit you with the rest of it, because this is a great fucking story. You gotta love this. I mean, we are so blessed to have this information. And then, of course, too, if you're following along with the story, and we realize how there's all these, programs and algorithms and mind games that are being played with humanity and all these different things. Well, I mean, how could you fake or manifest papers that go back to 1958? And how could a computer program make in a 3D printer some papers to send back in time to wind up coming to me to play a joke on me? See, that's twisted. It can't be that way. So I'm getting ready to break it down for y'all. But in the meantime, these cool people here that said, hey, Suze, why don't you use this song like whenever you want all the time or whatever and talk about it? It fits right in again. So for those of you that didn't hear this last night, this is a cover version of a song, Zombie, that was originally released in 1994 by the Cranberries on their famous album, No Need to Argue. And this is EYWA. And girlfriend says it all. So let's open the show with this, and then we'll dish about all the dirt.
Another head hangs slowly, child is slowly taken, and the violence calls of silence. Who are we mistaken? But you see, it's not me, it's not my family. In your head, do you foresee? With their tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns, in your head, they are crying. In your head, something, somewhere, what's in your head, something, somewhere. I forgot, I see there. Another mother's breaking heart is taken over. When the violence causes silence, we must be mistaken. It's the same old themes, it's 1916. In your head, you're still fighting. With their tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns. In your head, they are dying. In your head, something, somewhere. What's in your head? In your head, something, somewhere.
Right. All right. Once again, thank you for allowing me to use that song and share a message with people. Once again, much love. Now, before we get back to this $98 million scoundrel, that's $98 million, guys, for one share of what I hold here in this book. And as y'all know, I mean, come on, I'm not that big a dumbass. I don't expect to ever get paid. I don't ever expect to be restored everything that has been ripped away, not only from me, but from y'all too, from every member of this human race. But before we expose this name and blow it up everywhere, because I've already done some checking around, wait till you see, let me tie it together for you. And we have to go to this post. So I'm going to read this to you. And this is from IntelliHub. And I've already read the opening line for it. So, excuse my language, kids. But it says the whore of Babylon shreds the Constitution, exposed as ultimate backer of massive U.S. land grab. The whore is associated with the Antichrist and the beast of Revelation by connection with an equally evil kingdom. And that would be by Wikipedia. And it says Princeton, Oregon, and Telehub. As it turns out, there's a lot more to the story behind the mail her wildlife refuge, a whole lot more. And this article is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. As you may or may not know, on January 4th, IntelliHub reported that the Hammonds Ranch and other ranch lands surrounding the refuge sit atop a vast swath of precious metals, minerals, and uranium that's heavily desired by not only the federal government, but foreign entities as well. Y'all know it's for building nuclear bombs and war and stuff, right? But anyhow, let me go on. However, at the time of the article's publication, the federal government's full motive to seize the land was not yet known, other than the fact that these elements do exist in the vicinity and are invaluable. You know this is going to tie into the Bundy Ranch story, so any of y'all that don't know about this, we're talking about an attack on a family when they were on their own land and a whole false flag menagerie built around it, and dude winds up in jail. And this was early on in my walk, before Standing Rock and different things that, of course, I've been involved in, as we all are, whether we know it or not. So, anyhow, it goes on to say now, after further investigation, more pieces of the puzzle have been put in place, and you're not going to believe what characters are involved. I'll give you a hint. One of them is currently being investigated by the FBI and is also running on the Democratic ticket in hopes of becoming the next president of the United States. That's right, you guessed it. Hey, wait, I got a new sound effect. Watch. You guessed it. There we go. None other than Hillary Rodham Clinton of the notorious Clinton crime family. And here you can see she's in St. Petersburg, Russia, at Catherine Palace. And, you know, she's the U.S. Secretary of State, yada, yada, at the opening reception of the APEC Women and the Economy Forum 2012. Oh, you mean the year of the shift? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now, Hillary and her foundation are implicated in the dastardly scheme, along with the Russian State Nuclear Energy Corporation, Rosatom, and a few dubious Canadian elite, which is where the news gets really bad. Rosatom is ranked number 2 globally in uranium reserves and number 1 globally for annual uranium extraction. The sheer power, strength, and size of the corporation is undeniable. Rosatom is a major power player in today's world and didn't become that way for no reason. You see, Rosatom wanted to expand their operations into America and needed a way in. So in 2013, Rosatom acquired a Canadian company named Uranium One as part of a sinister side deal, which involved multiple parties. Ultimately, the deal opened a typically secure and closed door, thus allowing the Russians to salt their way into the continental United States as part of a vast and extensive plan to mine uranium ore out of states like Wyoming and Oregon. Okay, so here we have Mr. Sergei Kurenko, Director of the Director General State Atomic Energy Corporation, Rosatom, delivers his statement at the 57th regular session of the IAEA General Conference, IAEA Vienna, Austria, 16 September 2013. Interestingly enough, before I go on, because I don't want anybody to get bored here, Mr. Dude on this pink paper that we're going to be checking out here, believe it or not, acquired his stardom in this company in 2013. So what we're doing is we're creating a timeline. We're going to piece in evidence, confirm spirit, and tag things that surely are, to anybody still functioning on this planet, more than coincidence. And of course, we know there's no such thing as that. Kind of like the United States invented the definition of freedom. Come on. All right. So it says the deal was essentially brokered by Hillary and was ran through the Clinton Foundation using Canadian-backed contributions as a cover. With one flourish of a pen, just like that. Hang on. There we go. The bitch sold out the American people and 1/5 of the Americans' uranium resources to the Russians. Are you kidding me? 1/5, huh? And this is going to cover 4 states, by the way. Oh, yeah. And the guy with the $98 million a share, okay, believe it or not, lives in an apartment. And then this is what really is funny shit. The address they have is 999. But as we know, if you turn that upside down, you know, you get the 666 thing and the boogie boogie and, you know, all the mixed messages. But anyhow, oh, wait, it's $95 million a share, not 98. My bad. See, that's almost Walmart prices, right? But the point is that none of these stockholders got what was rightfully theirs because they did this deal, and it ties in with this. So I gotta say, confirmation of spirit. Okay, here we have Shepard and Bellis saying, should Hillary Clinton be held accountable for selling U.S. uranium to the Russians through a Canadian proxy? Hey, Shepard, here's what I got to say to you. I mean, for real, I feel your pain. But, you know, as this full disclosure comes to the people and we realize that every single flippin' individual, no matter how vile or how evil, you see, they were born into that. And believe it or not, even in utero, they started spell casting and all sorts of wicked shit to keep these people in line. And of course, if they don't stay in line, you know, off with your heads. And I'm not condoning her actions by any stretch because these people all suck big booty. But we have to have compassion as the system crumbles. And I have compassion, but I'll tell you what, this is enough to make them have to turn around and not only clean up their mess like the naughty little kids they are, but cease and assist. That means fucking knock it off. Knock it off. And Mother Earth is very unhappy about this. And I promise you, all the inhabitants are as well. And we have divine forces that will not be mocked either. So I guess that's why all this disclosure is coming out. But in the meantime, people are suffering. And we need to help as much as we can. So here again, I don't really expect to be reimbursed for the shares or anything like that. But I think that there's some kind of a deal that could be worked out with we the people at this point. All right, let me get back to this. In April of 2015, two reporters from the New York Times boldly reported on how the plan worked. It says, at the heart of the tale are several men, leaders of the Canadian mining industry, who have been major donors to the charitable endeavors of the former President Bill Clinton and his family. Members of that group built, financed, and eventually sold off to the Russians a company that would become known as Uranium One. Beyond mines in Kazakhstan that are among the most lucrative in the world, the sale gave the Russians control of 1/5 of all the uranium production capacity in the United States. Since uranium is considered a strategic asset with implications for national security, the deal had to be approved by a committee composed of representatives from a number of United States government agencies. Among the agencies that eventually signed off was the State Department, then headed by Mr. Clinton's wife, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Okay. Hey, do you guys want to see this new bell? Now, that is a dinger bell. And of course, they used to build things to last. And that's one of our new things tonight. Okay. As the Russians gradually assumed control of Uranium One in three separate transactions from 2009 to 2013, Canadian records show a flow of cash made its way to the Clinton Foundation. Uranium One's chairman used his family foundation to make 4 donations totaling $2.35 million. That's a deal considering $95 million a share for what you know who's got. Those contributions were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite an agreement Mrs. Clinton has struck with the Obama White House to publicly identify all donors. Other people with ties to the company made donations as well. And shortly after the Russians announced their intention to acquire a majority stake in Uranium One, Mr. Clinton received $500,000 from a Moscow speech from a Russian investment bank with links to the Kremlin that was promoting Uranium One stock. At the time, both Rosatom and the United States government made promises intended to ease concerns about ceding control of the company's assets to the Russians. Those promises have been repeatedly broken, records show. I got a record for you here. Back in 1958, they told the original stockholders, boo-hoo, we lost 7,000 and we didn't have enough money to drill this year and we really need y'all to get behind us. So I'm just letting you know how these people got sucked in that were on the bottom of the pyramid, that these Clintons were midway up the pyramid. And then you see there's something way up here that really runs the show. And that's what we're getting to. Okay. Soon, Uranium One began to snap up companies with assets in the United States. In April 2007, it announced the purchase of a uranium mill in Utah and more than 38,000 acres of uranium exploration properties in 4 Western states, followed quickly by the acquisition of the Energy Metals Corporation and its uranium holdings in Wyoming, Texas, and Utah. That deal made clear that Uranium One was intent on becoming a powerhouse in the United States uranium sector with the potential to become the domestic supplier of choice for U.S. utilities, the company declared. Okay, Mr. Monopoly, that's a lot of ego. But hey, it's give somebody enough rope, right? All right. While the United States gets 1/5 of its electrical power from nuclear plants, it produces only around 20% of the uranium it needs. and most plants have only 18 to 36 months of reserves, according to Marin Katusa, author of The Colder War: How the Global Energy Trade Slipped from America's Grasp. I got a book over here called Dynamic Freedoms. I promise you it didn't slip. It was all planned. They wrote this shit down and they studied what happened in Russia. They put a label on it called communism, market and sell it to people to get them to fear it. And in the meantime, see, they run the experiment with the Nazi machine, and then they bring it over here to us, and the whole time we're making fun of them because we think they're stupid. Now, see, if that ain't working, a human against a human, I don't know what is, because you're dealing with majorly intelligent people. I'm not saying, us because we know about it. I'm talking about the people that stood up at the time and said, man, this ain't right. Don't do that or you're going to wind up messing up stuff. I mean, there was always good people that spoke out. We just need to remember. And then we need to bring our information forward and it'll all be fine. Okay. Yeah, blah, blah. Okay. The Russians are easily winning the uranium war. Right. It's got to be a war, doesn't it? Because it's all about the nukes. And nobody's talking about it, said Mr. Katusa, who explores the implications of the Uranium One deal in his book. It's not just a domestic issue, but a foreign policy issue, too. Yeah. And then we got the picture of all the dudes in their suits, and, in the end, it's all the woman's fault, but we know these crafty suckers. All right. We don't need to go into all the names. Additionally, BLM documentation shows in September of 2011, a representative from Oregon Energy LLC, formerly Uranium One, met with local citizens and county and state officials to discuss the possibility of opening a uranium oxide yellowcake mine in southern Malheur County in southeastern Oregon. Oregon Energy is interested in developing a 17-claim parcel of land known as the Aurora Project through an open pit mining method. Besides the mine, there would be a mill for processing. The claim area occupies about 450 acres. It is also referred to as the New U uranium claim. Well, shit, that sucks. What if your family's lived there forever? And then somebody says, hey, we're going to call it something new and you need to get out because we're going to take the top 8 inches of your soil or something like that. And, they look around and they've got ways to find out exactly where they're going. And that's going to lead to some mercury down the way, but I don't want to give it all away. Okay. On May 2012, Oregon Energy LLC made a presentation to the BLM outlining its plans for development of the mine. The Vail District has agreed to work with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife on mitigation for the New U uranium claims, which are located in core sage grouse habitat. Although the lands encompassing the claim have been designated core, the area is frequented by rockhounds and hunters and has a crisscrossing of off-highway vehicle roads and other significant land disturbance from the defunct Brett's Mercury mine, abandoned in the 60s. I hope you guys know now that, the fracking and the different methods they use where they bring all this shit up to the ground. See, it's toxic for humans, but it's money And these things can be mined easy and skimmed after disasters because, they move things to the surface. And just like what's going on in the ocean, I don't know if y'all saw this video, but there's a great story about where all the sand's gone and how they use it to build all the new builds they do with the concrete and the roads and all these superstructures that we, really need. But see, here's what's twisted. When they steal the sand out of the ocean where they're not supposed to take it from, or take it from somebody's island or whatever's going on, you see, there's protocol and how the sand needs to be cleaned before it's mixed with the concrete. Otherwise, the concrete's no good and it busts. Well, see, they can't afford to do that because they need to make as much money as they can and destroy the globe. It's nothing personal. It doesn't matter that your house is there or that you're walking around in 4 inches of water your whole life because they're stealing your island. I mean, you wouldn't even believe this stuff, but you get the idea. So, what's going on here, and they talk about it in my paperwork too. See, what they started doing years ago was acquiring land that was hard to maintain, or national parks, green places, swamplands, etc., etc. But you see, all along, there's been people that live there and work that land. I mean, doesn't matter. There's pitfalls no matter where you live. No place is perfect. So they're going to start working this deal. And of course, this will kill off these animals no different than the animals in the ocean are being killed off by this sand sucking and dredging and all this crap. And they know it. However, they don't. By the fall of 2012, the company said that it was putting its plans for the mine on hold until the uncertainties surrounding the sage grouse issues were resolved. Yeah, I bet you did. Okay. Once again, the whore of Babylon, Hillary Clinton, her foundation, and other members of the government have literally been caught conducting illicit, illegal, and treasonous activities right underneath the noses of the American people and are in no way being held accountable. Moreover, she has the nerve. Yeah, right. But you got to remember there's somebody that these people answer to. These are puppets, actors on a stage. All right, now here comes someone brave. Governor Kate Brown, right here, heads to visit soldiers with Charlie Company. They're assisting with firefighting efforts near the Canyon Creek area. Now, Oregon Governor Kate Brown has stepped in, calling for a swift resolution to the armed occupation of the Malheur Wildlife Refuge, clearly shilling, right, for the Dems, criminally assisting them with their master plan, da 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 da. See, so already now we're fighting person against person instead of these jackasses that are poisoning everything left and right and up and down. And you got to remember, they work for the same people. But there you have it, rogue criminal factions of government. Yeah, are operating at all levels and are actually conspiring together, to allow foreign corporations to invade and mine rich American resources, including uranium from lands owned by people. Hey, don't forget to add in they're mining the people too. That's, we know that as organ harvesting and human trafficking and pollution of energy. So It's a free-for-all. Somebody's saying, suck it, right? Okay. Uranium Ore's slogan is success through aggressive mind and land acquisitions. And oh, yeah, they talk about that back in 1958. I'm getting ready to read that too. Also, please note that President Obama has signed executive orders allowing the Department of the Interior to grab publicly owned lands. Well, right. It's free for all. Okay. Update 1:29 p.m. World Net Daily published an article back in 1998 titled Federal Land Grab Called Political. Talk to the Glasscocks for real. Land Patent Act 1643. Same time they got the Indians tanked up there at Turtle Island and, had them sign their lives away. And then called them drunks when they had never imbibed whiskey. Nice. Okay. In the article, the author points out how the Utah Republican James Hansen authored a bill at the time known as the Utah Schools and Land Exchange Act of 1998. According to this report, this bill passed in June of 1998 gave Utah 139,000 acres of federally held land, certain mineral rights, and $50 million in exchange for all Utah's claims to land within national parks, monuments, forests, and federal areas. Under then U.S. President Bill Clinton's orders, further demonstration how the Clinton crime family has been using their vast political influence to loot some of the best assets of the corporation of the United States, selling them for pennies on the dollar to private foreign corporations and one world bodies like the United Nations. This whole animal goes back to the Ronald Reagan era and possibly further. HCN.org reported back in 2004 that Reagan and his advisors looked across the West public lands and saw dollar signs. He was a cowboy. He used to ride the horse across there, and I guess he thought it was big enough. But money was something they desperately needed in '82. Yeah, when materialism went through the roof. That's the year I graduated high school. Just talked about that. As the national deficit hit $128 billion. So James Watt, then U.S. Secretary of the Interior, and John R. Block, the Secretary of Agriculture, earmarked 35 million acres, or 5% of the nation's public lands, excluding Alaska, for the auction block. The plan to privatize public lands was met with outrage and skepticism, not only from Western liberals, such as Arizona Governor Bruce Babbitt, but also from conservatives like Senator James McClure, a Republican Idaho, who objected because the states were cut out of the deal. Watt eventually withdrew interior lands from the sale shortly thereafter, and the Forest Service sale lost steam too. However, unpopular the proposed sales were, they weren't illegal. And the idea didn't go away. The framework for selling public lands has inched forward since the Clinton administration, and now the Interior Department wants to give it a high priority. Hey, y'all need to know for real that this started happening a long time ago. We're going to trace it all the way back. We already have, so we're just adding to this article. The 1976 Federal Land Policy and Management Act, FLPMA, required the Bureau of Land Management to identify lands that were uneconomical to manage. See, we're talking about, they're not making money. taking care of their concrete jungles. So what the hell? Let's just sell it and burn it down and strip it. Um, okay. Or that stood in the way of a community's development. Yeah, right. Um, but the BLM lacked a strong incentive to identify such sellable lands. Under FLPMA, any money received from the sale would go directly into the U.S. Treasury rather than into the agency's own coffers. Hey, that's all right. That's just like here in St. Louis. See, they say that we're having a boom and everything's growing and everything's great. Bullshit. They demised St. Louis back in 1917. It was all part of the plan. You got East St. Louis, you got the migration to St. Louis, you got the battle between the North and the South, yakety yak. You got the spring, Pruitt Iago, you got, Bridgeton landfill. I mean, it's a cesspool of nuclear waste. And we're a medical experiment, and they planned it and they needed a secret site. That's why we're the first secret city, ding dongs. St. Louis just had a film festival about it. So anyhow, you see, what they're doing here now is raising the taxes. But what they're really doing is running out the people that live here, because this government money, this TIF stuff like here in Ferguson, they're not building these new buildings for us. Man, you got to be 9 kinds of stupid to believe that. They're building these new buildings for the corporate people that are coming in to take over after everybody dies or gets run out. They got to have nice digs, man, while they're opening up the headquarters for Pfizer and taking our water and mining by the river. And this all tags in together, not just here in St. Louis, not just in the divided state of Missouri, everywhere. It's just we're a colorful example of this shit. And I can put things together because I'm talking. I'm feeling with my heart brain. Okay. So 1976. Oh, what? The year of the fucking bicentennial, too. That's nice. Because the first land policies were the Land Patent Act in 1643. But yeah, it's good. All right. Then in 2000, Congress and the Clinton administration passed the Federal Law Transaction Facilitation Act, which changed how profits from BLM land sales were distributed. 20% of any land sale revenue would go towards the BLM's administration costs, while the other 80% had to be used to buy private inholdings within BLM lands that contained exceptional resources. The act was based on a land disposal and acquisition mechanism in the Southern Nevada Public Land Management Act of 1998, which was crafted to accommodate Las Vegas' rapid expansion on neighboring public lands. But FLTA's profit scheme applied only to sellable land identified before July 25th, 2000. Hey, that was only, 6 months before? That's right. 9/11, sure. At that time, the BLM estimated it had 3.3 million acres of sellable land, but thanks to better inventories, its estimate has since shrunk to as low as 330,000 acres. From 2001 to 2003, the BLM sold almost 11,000 acres under FLTA. Note, we know some of the land acquired by Uranium 1 is in Oregon, and we know there are precious metals on and near the Hammond Ranch damn straight. Put 2 and 2 together, exactly. Stay tuned for more updates and confirmation as it becomes increasingly clear that other companies and government entities are most likely also involved. The government, alongside private companies, including foreign-owned, are in the middle of a massive criminal land grab, which the mainstream media is largely ignoring, instead opting to paint those in Oregon as crazy, anti-government extremists. In other words, members of the mainstream media are directly, oh man, come on. We're not going to have a fight between mainstream and alternative, and oh, let's quit blaming each other. Good Lord. Nobody is directly responsible for helping allow this takeover to happen. But oh, wait. See, everybody is, because we're supposed to stand up and say that we don't consent, but they don't care because we have no human rights. And this all gets complicated, but you have to remember that even though things are crumbling all around, it's part of an elaborate illusion. And it's all about control. So let's talk about control, Mr. Sushchenko. Now, of course, you got to remember that Dwight Hammond was threatened with a bullet. And, you can go check this interview out. I mean, it's old news, but it sure isn't to that family, is it? They're suffering every day. And this is what's going on with humanity. See, the stories flip so quick. Everybody suffers and no one gets relief. But we have other sources here. And so, as you can see, uranium prospecting in Oregon, 56. And then I Spy East I-17, right. Daily Courier. See, everybody's trying to get people to simply open their eyes and connect the dots. This shit is real. And of course, Colorado comes in. It says, from Russia with no love for Colorado, uranium mining climate. We've got Oregon dockets, presidential memorandum, America's Great Outdoors, public versus private property rights about Uranium One, and what was the Whitewater scandal? Now, see, I wish Joe would get to getting and start talking, as we need to take care of these things, even if he sits in the background because he's so intelligent. But I wanted to read this to him before I came forward, and he says, oh yeah, so that's why I'm bringing it. Now, let me get my proof out, and we're gonna take a stroll around this. Okay. Now, Vista Petroleum, and that's this paper right here, is connected directly with this company right here. And this is a report to Taco Uranium Incorporated and its stockholders. I'll go ahead and roll that up so you can see it. And of course, as you can see, this is the original paper with the seals. And my Graham even did some multiplication here. So here's the story. Okay. Now, Graham had 23 shares of Vista Petroleum, and this was issued to her on the 29th day of December in the year of our Lord, 1958. And back then, a share was a quarter. Now, let me read this to you. Dear stockholders, and this is dividend. It says your stock certificate for dividend that was payable August 30th, 1958 is enclosed. You're receiving Vista Petroleum Corporation stock on a basis of 1 share of Vista to each 100 shares of Utako Uranium stock owned by you as of July 30th, 1958. This is a stock distribution for the benefit of Utako stockholders and not a stock exchange. Mining. The company has not done any mining during 1958. The reason for this was due to the fact that soft metal prices have been so depressed that it was impossible for your company to make a profit. When prices become favorable and the company can make a profit, it naturally is our intention to resume activity. The company has, however, reduced our indebtedness by $7,732.89. You know, these people were the ones that survived the depressions. That's a huge deal. I know that it doesn't seem like it these days, but we're talking about quarter stocks and 100 stocks of Utako Uranium. So anyhow, under properties, it says the company will make every attempt to keep all of its mining properties in good standing, and there is no thought of abandoning any portion thereof. Why are they messing around then with that abandoned mercury mining area? Okay. Oil and gas interest. The company has been examining and evaluating new properties for possible acquisition and development. Many favorable oil and gas leases sometimes become available to the company that could add income as developed. It is hoped to acquire favorable oil interest to be beneficial to the stockholders whenever possible. We are making no moves without proper geological and engineering counsel who are very capable with many years of experience in this field. Due to the engineering knowledge available to our company, a number of stockholders have expressed a desire to participate with the company in any encouraging oil ventures. Should we acquire a property that we consider better than average, merit-wise, we may allow non-operating interest participation to develop same. We welcome referral of any oil and gas prospects that may be brought to our attention. Your management appreciates the letter it has received from stockholders advising it of drilling and acreage acquisition opportunities. Your personal interest in the growth of the company has been encouraging. Vista Petroleum Corporation. Vista Petroleum Corporation recently completed its number 2 well in section 2626, Township 18 North, Range 12 East, Tulsa County, Oklahoma, that initially produced 168 BBLS of oil per day by natural flow. Natural flow is like what we remember seeing on Beverly Hillbillies, you know, black gold Texas tea, you know. After the discovery allowed testing periods expires on the Vista Petroleum Corp. Well number 2, the daily production will be limited as set by the Oklahoma Corporation Commission each month. This is subject to change each month and generally varies from 20 to 35 BBLS per day per well from shallower wells. More wells are being planned, and Vista Petroleum Corporation well number 3 will be drilled in the very near future. In addition to Vista's very choice located lease in Tulsa County, Oklahoma, Vista Petroleum Corporation has other interests in better than 40,000 acres. Vista Petroleum Corporation also has a small producing royalty income in Valley County, Montana. I believe that was one of the four state. Now, last thing on this piece of paper, new officer. And this is really whack because I went to my nice little private Lutheran school with this dude's grandson, I guess, because boy, is it a big Lutheran North Grace Chapel name. So somebody I know out of the annals of that part of my history. New officer, Mr. William Arbetter, a St. Louis businessman who has been a director for Uranium Incorporated, was recently appointed vice president of the company. Recent mailings of the company reports indicate a number of stockholders for which we do not have current mailing addresses. Please advise Uranium Incorporated, 203 C.A. Johnson Building, Denver 2, Colorado, of any change of address from time to time. And of course, this is yours very truly, Uranium and Company, and it's by the board of directors. Interestingly enough, I don't know if y'all know this, but back in 1958, the reason that they chose Oklahoma was because it was one of the most stable plates here in North America. So they thought, hey, let's drill this shit up and see how that works out for us. And as y'all know now, it's the earthquake capital of the USA or something, you know, on that particular fault. And these things were all planned and prepared. And boy, Oklahoma's had some sucky weather with all its tornadoes and drilling and fracking and nonsense. Now, like I was saying, I don't really talk on my phone, and I don't talk to Siri, and I really don't go to Wikipedia, you know. My information comes from my direct life experience and legal documents that are in my possession. So after we had checked this out, Joe got on his phone and he said, hey, Siri, let's look up Vista Petroleum. And he came up with this information. And this was months back. So let me just read it to you. It's now the new Vista Petroleum Company of Nevada. One guy is the president, the secretary, the treasurer, and the director. And his name is Maxim Sushchenko. And his address is 999 North Silver Springs Boulevard, apartment 401. $95 million per share. That's what they go for today. Now, you can't buy these shares. And for people that know about this stuff, basically, they hold it all. And of course, everybody that used to have interest in this company got wiped under the rug with their legal ways of doing things in this corporate world where there's really not supposed to be monopolies and we're really supposed to have rights, and you know, it's a very odd thing. Now, I need to show you guys something else. And I went ahead and tagged these so we wouldn't have to do it later. We have three things. The first one is called, Is My Old Oil Stock Worth Anything? And this is the American Oil and Gas Historical Society. Interesting. Then we also have a Google search on Maxim Sushchenko. And we also have got him on the NevadaRegister.com. So I guess we'll click here first since we're at the bottom. And you can see he's got a nice fancy page here. It's not like he's hiding. And I guess he works out of his apartment, but let's look a little closer. Persons with the name Maxim Sushchenko. And we have this dude here, and the company is the Far Vista Petroleum Corporation. The address is 34 Summerhill Point, Clare, Quebec, and he is the president. Okay. Number 2. It's like, what's my line? We have the same spelling, looks exactly alike. And this company is called Far Vista Petroleum Corporation, just like this one. But the address here is the one I told y'all. And I didn't write down on the pink piece of paper months ago that North Silver Springs Boulevard, apartment 401, is in Wichita, Kansas. Y'all know, well, I shouldn't assume. After 30 years in business, I've seen a lot of scams. And sometimes when bigwigs rent apartments, it's either like to have a love nest or to have their mail sent or just because they need to, so their process can flow. Okay. Now, contestant number 3, the company is Far Vista Petroleum Corporation. Just like these guys, same address, and he's the secretary. So like I told y'all, Joe brought the information that he was president, secretary, treasurer, and director, and now we are seeing that must be so. And we go down one more, and we see the address again, and dude's the treasurer here, and it's the same here. And yeah, I got director written down here. And then here's our final one, and you can see same address, director. All right, that was fairly simple. Now, let's go to our Google search. And immediately what tripped me out, because, like I said, I'm the girl that's telling you there's no secrets. So I'm full well aware that they know I'm doing this search, and I'm sure they know whose grandchild I am too. But what really tripped me out, when I first looked at it, is this. And then look, somebody's behind bars. And I don't know what Maxim Sushchenko looks like. And I don't know if this is his daughters or if it's, I don't know why these people are mixed together. I'm only 36 months online. Give me a break. But maybe this is Oh, wait, no. Okay, this is not Maxim Sushchenko. This is the dude that gave the award or the pat on the back or the medal to this little man, and it's his dad that's in jail. So one of these Sushchenkos or somebody is in the big house, and I'm not quite sure what they did. I just knew that I had to bring this to you tonight because, of course, it came up on the feed, and we should know to never put off what we can do today. And even though I'm only one, I can still do something. So dadgummit, I'm gonna do it. And I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's this guy. He looks pretty serious. Uh Here's some fancy paperwork being done. A lot of beautiful girls. A lot of posters. All right, so this must be the dude that's in jail because everybody's holding up a poster like, is he the fall guy? I mean, at this point, I'm just really being more intuitive looking at these pictures. A lot of people are pissed off, a lot of guards everywhere. What's this face all about? It's like, oh, I know what's going on. Okay. Some more Action Jackson with war. Gotta love war, right? I don't. Do you know that they say that there's under 200 days in our whole history of being the United States or whatever you want to call it that we haven't been involved in war? Here's Trump when he's younger. Got some more bars. Looks like a prison to me. Got bars on the top, bars on the sides. Yeah, a lot of bars, man. Not the kind you get drunk at either. Some handcuffs. Lord have mercy. Those might be deceased folks. You never do know. Either that or they're playing hide and seek. I'm not sure. Mm. A lot of chicks as we get lower on the chain gang, right? Hmm. Wonder why come he's in there. I know that's not proper English. I just love saying that sometimes when I'm feeling sassy. Why come? Bullshit. Yeah, this is a bunch of crap, ain't it? I mean, just lower down you get. And of course, we don't need to go any farther with that, but he's definitely up here on the top. Maybe it's this dude, but I'm not saying this is Maxim Sushchenko. I'm saying this is Maxim's kin. This is a different dude. He had a different name, first name. What's in a name? Okay. So this is the page about, is my old stock worth anything? And they had to set this page up because there's a lot of people that got ripped off in the stock market, as y'all remember hearing about back in the day. And what's interesting about this, because I read it, before I fired up Zoom and hit Facebook Live, was that this is one person working this site, and they're going to tell you more than once. Please, 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 good Lord, whatever you do, give me a donation. It's tax deductible. I guess he lost or she lost on the stock market too. I have no idea. This is the American Oil and Gas Historical Society website. This society is a small, with just one employee nonprofit program that depends on your financial support. It serves as a resource for petroleum history for researchers, teachers, students, historians, and the public. They're exploring the industry's heritage of social, economic, and technological achievement, provide a context for teaching the modern energy business. Oh, and it survives on donations. Good grief, it's going to shut down tomorrow if you don't send them a buck. Uh, your contribution helps the society promote community oil and natural gas museums. Hey, are you going to have the what do you call it? The display where you say, really, we didn't even need oil to run those cars. Yeah, there was this technology Tesla brought, and we just shut it all down pretty much and took all y'all's patents. But yeah, we do need museums. Um, they probably get a 7-year tax write-off too. And what a nice thing to go up as the libraries are getting closed down. I think it's fascinating. Okay. Yeah, help you share your history. I'm doing the best I can. I'm just confused as hell. All right, now here we have a picture of a few oil rigs. You can see there's just several there. It says, in the rush to print stock certificates during oil booms, new companies often chose to print certificates using a vignette of derricks. A surprising number picked the same oil field scene. See the vignette on shares of centralized oil and gas company, Double Standard Oil and Gas, Evangelical Oil. Okay. And of course, this person wants to know if you can tell them anything about their old, you know, company stock. Um, am I rich? Probably not. As shown in the companies below, since the 1850s, the U.S. petroleum industry's boom and bust cycles have left many casualties. That's because it's a crock of shit, like my Graham would have said. Even with a 6-pack of beer in her, or a 12-pack, she knew it was a crock of shit, like I said in the beginning of this. So, what's it say for an example of one that actually made it to courts? See, not a millionaire from old oil stock. Unfortunately, this small historical society cannot grant requests for free research. Oh, I don't need you to do free research. I'm not here to loosh any of your energy, dude. I'm just checking it out. I can, you could too, invited to submit your query in the current stock certificate Q&A forum. I got a forum for you. All right. Latest research updated June 2nd, 2017. And you can just go on and on and on and think you're going to get rich or think something is something. But see, they done screwed everybody. It's way past the point. They just have to disclose it now because it's so in your face. A lot of posts and updates here if y'all are interested or if you're stockholders. What a joke. Okay. Back to Facebook, Suze. Right on. So that's my big scary story tonight. And I did share Shane Bale's post because he says monsters tell stories of him to frighten their children. And so we had a conversation about that. And neither one of us are scared. So that's good. And obviously, you can see I found my iPhone. That was what that's all about. We already talked about Babylon. Joe likes to say Babylon, like when people are just talking shit. Uh, our awesome astrologer, Robert Phoenix, says CERN is a two-way operation. See what that means? Those in the know already knew they opened up portals so things from other dimensions and timelines could come in. But they're talking about people going out too, so heads up, y'all. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it is what it is. And of course, God love Kara St. Louis. Setting out on new territory, girl. I'm really excited for you, and you know I'm going to at least be able to give a buck, but man, it's been tough. I know you know, but you're my Steiner buddy, and so we're connected. Oh, yeah. And hey, for anybody that missed it last night when I was, telling the sad story about my grandkids, check this out. Every once in a while, I like to check my daughter's name because you see, somehow your buddy Suze that doesn't know how to use a computer got through some back door or something and was actually able to share a picture that someone shared online. And even though Chelsea tried to cross out the name Pratt, see, Mama connected it. So my stuff and anything that comes out about her lines up together. So here's I got something for you, Zach. I brought it special. So something I didn't tell you yesterday about Chelsea and Zach is when they first got together, they started reading like Lord of the Rings, and I've never read any of that. But Zach had magical powers, and I'm not kidding, everybody does. But he was like a junior wizard, right? And so they were all about this shit. So supposedly, now this sword is aluminum. See, it can't hurt nobody. You see, no blood, nothing's happening, no problems here. But supposedly, now our buddy Robert, the hoarder that lost his home, this supposedly came off of the very movie set of Lord of the Rings, and they did their fucking, fights with it. So, Zach, if you were here with me right now, baby, you know, we're such nice people. We'd probably give you this daggum sword. We know how much you love Lord of the Rings, but in the meantime, I'll be using it as a prop until I get to see you in person. Now, here's Chloe Susanna, my little Bobo, and Grandma knows all your toes, sister. And here is Leela Faye, named after Graham, Leela, and she looks just like her mama did. Just like it. And this is the first time I've seen their faces, like I said, in over 4 years. So what I did is I shared it. Here, let me show you how this works if you don't know how to use a computer. So let's say I'm in the mood to see what's going on, right? And here's her name. So watch this. Chelsea Goldcamp Pratt. Poof! Now, see, they know I found this because here it is at the top of the feed. But if you allow me, you're not allowing me. Loading. Oh, it's still loading more results. You know what? I'm not going to wait. It doesn't interest me that much. Okay. So, anyhow, all of our stuff winds up there, and I took it and I shared it. And then Lauren and I had a conversation in that feed. So, as you can see, whatever I said and whatever she said, they will all know about. And that's okay. I have every right to share my grandchildren's picture, and I have every right to speak out because this is an Illuminati family that's got these kids isolated. And you see this friendly guy right here, Daniel Bookman. Yeah, okay. So he's um from a different country. I can't remember and I can't pronounce it, so it doesn't really matter. But he lives in Farmington. He's got 26 friends right now, and dude sells homeschool supplies. And all I know is with all this program stuff and the way they use colors, I was very suspicious that they have a blue program. And I'm going to check out what they're slinging and see if they're shoveling the same shit down these kids' throats as they do in the public schools. But anyhow, my daughter and her husband and the stuffed animals and the kids are now being homeschooled with the help of this guy's stuff. And I'm not saying anything against homeschool, but what I am saying is the very people that tell their kids, don't you talk to strangers. Sometimes they're the very ones doing weird shit behind the doors of their home. And that way the kids are isolated completely. My grandchildren are isolated completely. And I can't even go in there and say I love them. I call bullshit. I got $95 million per share of something. And I'll tell you what, I'd trade that in a New York minute to tell those babies that I love them. So, right here in the green tie-dye, this would be the baby Chelsea birthed. And believe it or not, the story goes that she was walking around in the kitchen at midnight. And this boy just fell out of her, and the baby was born on the kitchen floor. All I know is these gold camps, try to search the name gold camp and all the genealogy things. Amazingly, there's no information on them. Really? I don't think so. And of course, the other thing with these guys is they run fluorescent. So we got my no wonder my targeting, no wonder I'm so hated and despised, right? We got a family of social workers, doctors, nurses, people in the education system. Are you kidding me? And you, poor girl, you don't even know how they're using your dumb ass. But your mama always love you, so good luck to you. And good luck to me. And good luck to Lauren. Because I'll tell you what, I love messing with her. And I know this was rotten. And I know I shouldn't have done it. But if I'm feeling frisky, I'm feeling frisky. And I'm talking again, so everybody better watch out because I'm on a roll. But anyhow, I was teasing Lauren saying, hey, how about I open up that bag of clothes that you got sent here and wash them, and maybe I'll wear a couple outfits, And I was really just playing with her because I had already looked at the clothes, and we don't share the same taste and style. I'm not into her clothes, but I like some of them. So anyhow, she says, no, 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 no. I love you too. And no, 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 they're mine. And I ordered them for the concert I was supposed to go to, and they came too late. Yeah, I know, you're silly butt. You didn't even go to the concert. Remember, your mother knows. And I told her, I know, I was just playing. And then I get the news from Lauren. She'll be in the Louvre for the 4th of July, and she'll be here for a whole week. And I had to, send her the ass shaking picture because she likes to shake ass, and people her age are all into this. And of course, I'm not, but I couldn't help myself. This party in the Louvre. And if I can let your sister and her companion know that your hot butt's coming to town, maybe we'll have to go check out where Chelsea works, because we know that too, don't we, baby? What are they going to do? Stop us from walking in all these below me sideways? All right. So I just wanted to wrap this up and say, here's the show from last night, and I called it Time Loop from Hell with Love from Sophia's Emporium. And last but not least, when I did that show, there were 3 major stressors, and they enveloped my personal life. And that was, of course, Chelsea's actions, my surgery, and the reason I said that it actually could have been the end of my life was because, you see, I was walking around with blood pressure at 200 over 110. That's how much the stress and trauma from all these programs that tell me not to speak has affected my walk. So it was pretty high, and I knew there were risks going under when your blood pressure's that high. I also spoke of the stone, which is a huge blessing. Today, I figured out two more things that happened in 2013, and they concern my business in this town, in Ferguson. So I needed to bring this piece of information tonight because the link was shared. So tomorrow, when I come again and speak, I'll be bringing part 2 of that hellacious story. So I hope you enjoyed that. I did. I feel really good. And we have to walk with no fear. We're on a short time schedule. So speak up, speak true, speak from the heart, be love, and slay. Because these forces have no business messing with you and yours. Peace, love, and light from the Big Yellow House on the third cosmic ray via Sophia's Emporium in our world. We stop at share and say goodnight to you guys. Talk soon.